I know we're all a little bit unsettled because it's mid-November and the World Cup's starting in 4 days' time. So just to ease us all in, we've got a little simulation to go on now, and we'll have a look who FM thinks is going to win the World Cup at the very least. And here we have it, 20th of November. It's only on Sunday. We've got Qatar and Ecuador lining up for the first game of the World Cup. I've only just noticed that Ecuador are listed as the kind of home team. Don't know if that's standard practice, but it just seems a bit odd. You'd expect Qatar to be the first name that we see. We have points for the recordings at the start of every kind of stage. So I've got one at the start of the group stage. I have got one before the final game of the group stage, so see if there's any kind of anomalies or anyone that potentially might get knocked out. We can have a look before that. And then I've got one at the start of every single one of the knockout rounds, including the third place playoff. The only thing being, I think one of the semi-finals I do know the result of. Outside of that, I don't really know much that's happened, so it'll be a surprise to me as much as it is to you. And if you are looking forward to it, then do me the favour of liking, subscribing, show support on the channel, be greatly appreciated. If you want to throw down into the comments now who you think's going to win, that'd be wonderful. 2 games played for all the teams in the Group A. Ecuador and Qatar finished 1-1 actually from their game, so well done to them. A goal in the first minute, it's probably a record for the World Cup actually, probably the quickest ever goal in the World Cup. And then Soria getting the equaliser. Classic Qatari name, that is. Netherlands and Senegal both sat on 4 points. Ecuador and Qatar sat on 1. And the games are between Qatar, Netherlands, Ecuador, Senegal. So, theoretically, anyone can qualify, but realistically, it's probably going to be Netherlands and Senegal. We'll find out when we jump to the next stage very shortly. Group B, England have already qualified. Realistically, US have 2. Wales and Iran on 1 and 0 points respectively. So, kicked off 0-0 draw between the States and Wales. England only beating Iran 1-0. It's a bit questionable. Absolutely slapping Wales though, with the US also only beating Iran 1-0. So while they've lost both their games, they've not played too bad. Oh, it's a bit of a tasty group. Little bit tasty. At the moment, Argentina are going out. Mexico, Poland, and Saudi Arabia all sat on a win each. So, Saudi Arabia beat Poland for the first game in the group. Argentina beat Mexico. Followed up then with Poland beating Argentina and Mexico beating Saudi Arabia. So, it's all to play for in that group. Goal difference as well is very similar. Anything can happen there. Another little bit of a taster one here for Group D. Denmark coming through, winning both of their games. France have dropped points in a draw against Australia, who I'm pretty sure they played in the last World Cup as well. Tunisia, they've not done much, if we're honest. They're not having a great time. But, yeah, France realistically are going to be going through with their game against Denmark, but they could make it 3 wins out of 3 and make it awfully tricky. Oh dear indeed. Germany are having a little bit of a stinker. They've played Spain and Japan, lost both games. Japan has sat top of their group, and realistically it's a little bit of a battle between Costa Rica and Spain as to who's going to get that final spot. Japan aren't technically qualified yet, so if they don't get through from that, I mean, you're going to be pretty pissed, aren't you, if you're a Japanese fan? Do you know what I think is a little bit of a shock? They've played 2 games, Canada, haven't picked up a single point yet. They've played Morocco and Croatia, so they've still got to play Belgium, who are the strongest team in the group, they are. They're also sat on 4 points alongside Morocco, so potentially we could see both Croatia and Canada dropping out of that group. Similar situation with Group G, where realistically Brazil are going to qualify, but outside of Serbia, Cameroon and Switzerland, I mean, all 3 of those are at a relatively even keel. But at the moment, Switzerland sat on a big fat 0 points after having losses to Cameroon and Brazil. So they're going to be playing Serbia next. Cameroon themselves have already played the weaker team, so they've got to line up with Brazil on the final game. Realistically, Cameroon aren't going to get through, but that game between Serbia and Switzerland could be a little bit tasty. Another situation, like Group B, where all 4 of the teams are sat on 3 points. Ghana, Portugal, Uruguay and South Korea, all with a win each, and a loss each, and a goal difference of 2 between all 4 teams. So literally anyone can qualify there. Portugal have been playing South Korea, and Uruguay are playing Ghana, which is a repeat of that, I think it was a quarter-final, where Suarez decided to handball it on the line, and then they missed the penalty. and then went out on penalties. So yeah, Ghana are looking to at least beat them this time and do as much as they can to qualify. So there we have it. Only the 2 teams qualified so far. So we're going to jump forward to the completion of the group stage, see kind of who's qualified from where. I'm just going to flick through them all and just see what's happened. And then we'll see what teams are playing who in the following round. Pretty uneventful final set of games for Group A, but as we expected, the Netherlands and Senegal are qualifying. Netherlands going through with a 1-0 win against Qatar, and Senegal and Ecuador drawing. So 7 and 5 points sees the top 2 going through from that division. So Group B was really similar in the fact that both teams finished on 7 and 5 points. England coming through unbeaten, as did the US. So they were at one of those situations where, because those 2 teams were playing against one another, all they needed to do was draw, and it was irrelevant as to what was happening in the other game. I'd like to think that wasn't the case, because I'm pretty sure it's illegal. But it happened. Iran did manage to beat Wales after a 3rd-minute penalty from Gareth Bale, but Godosh and Asadi pulling the tie back in Iran's favour. They did finish 3rd. Doesn't mean a thing in the World Cup though. They don't have a slightly smaller competition to drop down to, as I alluded to earlier. Group C, this is the tasty one. So it does see Argentina and Poland qualify, Mexico and Saudi Arabia dropping out, with pretty busy games. And a really important one from Lewandowski. So Mexico did actually take the lead on 2 separate occasions. And Lewandowski was like, you know what? Not feeling that. I think my team are going to qualify. So they did just that. Argentina absolutely slapped Saudi Arabia though on the other side. Not too much of a surprise in the fact that France qualified alongside Denmark. But Tunisia, they managed to give themselves a little bit of redemption, got themselves a win at the end against Australia in a 3-1 win. And France and Denmark both drew. So picking up the points that they needed. Group E does see Germany dropping out. I think regardless of what they did, they were going to drop out anyway there, wasn't it? But Japan lost their final game, but did enough on the first few with a 4-3 loss against Spain, and Germany beating Costa Rica 2-1. So it's 2 6s, 2 3s, but Japan and Spain going through. Group F sees our first team leave without any points and only 1 goal, which isn't the best. Finishing off with a 6-0 loss against Belgium. Canada are out. Croatia also finished 1-1, so they went out, but a late sending off and a later goal for them. If they'd have managed to turn that round, they'd have been joining Belgium in the next round, but they're not. They're going home, and Morocco and Belgium are both going through to the knockouts. And our first team, I believe, qualifying on goal difference, is Switzerland. They're going to be joining Belgium, who had a clean sweep, 9 points in their group, beat everyone. Get in the bin. Switzerland, Cameroon and Serbia all finishing on 1 win, 3 points each. But Switzerland getting the all-important 2 goal difference, whereas the other teams both had negatives. Beating Serbia 4-0 on the final day, with Milinkovic-Savic getting sent off. Doesn't really matter. He's not playing any further. And then Cameroon lost to Brazil 2-1. An 87th minute own goal for Cameroon. If they wouldn't have dropped that, they'd have been through, but they did. So, sucks to be them, really. And the final group, another one where all the teams had 3 points. We did have South Korea sat atop of it. They finished bottom. Portugal managed to beat them 4-1 on the final round of fixtures, with Uruguay and Ghana getting a draw. Wasn't enough for Ghana to qualify, but Uruguay and Portugal both qualifying for the next round. So they've all got their little predetermined path sorted out now. The US are going to be playing Netherlands, and then with the potential to play either France or Argentina in the following round. Brazil, Uruguay, so it's a little South American duel there, against Morocco or Japan for the quarterfinals. Then England and Senegal against Denmark and Poland. And that will be the third of the quarterfinals, the teams that progress from either of those. And then the final one will be made up from the winners of either Switzerland or Portugal, and then Spain or Belgium. So it's a little bit tasty, this is. So we'll jump forward to the start of the quarterfinals. We'll see which teams have progressed. We'll have a little look at the games, but not in too much depth. But yeah, I'm not too surprised with the teams that are there. A little bit of a surprise to see Germany dropping out so early, but it is what it is. Get good, Germany. So we have our results in. The US did drop out to a 1-0 loss against the Netherlands. The goal scored by Donny van der Beek in the 14th minute. I mean, if we're looking at the stats, the Netherlands were just all over him, weren't they? I don't think they've got the strength that they need to get past Argentina, who did manage to beat France, but It'll be fun to see who manages to get through. I mean, and again, a 3-0 win for Argentina. It flattered them slightly, but they looked definitely good for it. Just kept France quiet. An own goal from Varane, goals from Alejandro Martinez and Lautaro Martinez as well. And the first team into the other side of the quarterfinals is England. 2-0 win against Senegal. Looking at the stats, it looks pretty even. Edges even towards Senegal's favour, but late goals from Sterling and Mount sees England progress. And they're going to be joined by Poland. 2-0 win. Mati Kaszki getting a goal. Lewandowski getting his 5th of the tournament. The 4 that he scored in the game were the only goals he'd scored in the group stage. But yeah, I mean, they look very good for it. Kept Denmark very quiet. Wasn't helped by the fact that Delaney got himself sent off in the 30th minute either. The third quarterfinal will have Morocco qualifying after their first minute goal, scored by Far, I think that name possibly is, with the assist from Munir. And they're going to be joined and realistically beaten by Brazil. Did concede early in their game, 30th minute. But 3 goals from Coutinho, Rafinha, and then a second from Coutinho saw Brazil qualify. They look better for it stats-wise as well. And Spain knocking out Belgium 2-0. Goals from Jose Gaya and Sergio Ramos, the 57-year-old. Stats, again, looked in Spain's favour, so they definitely deserve to qualify from that. And Spain will be joined by their neighbours and rivals, Portugal. They had a 1-0 win against Switzerland, but the stats they're showing that they should have performed quite a bit better than they did. 59th minute goal from Ronaldo there to get the goal to put them through. And the tree shows us the winner of Netherlands-Argentina, going to be playing either Brazil or Morocco, realistically Brazil, in the semi-final. And then England or Poland playing Portugal or Spain in the semis. That is the one who I know are there, so it's not much of a surprise for me. Our first penalty shootout sees Argentina progress past the Netherlands. Nothing, no goals whatsoever, 0-0. And then goals or penalties dropped from Correa, Depay and Cooper Miners sees Argentina progress. It's a relatively quiet game. Both teams probably deserve to score, but on the stats, Argentina deserve to edge it, so penalty win seems quite fair on that. And the first shock of the tournament isn't in this game. Brazil won 3-0, convincingly so. Morocco have progressed all the way up to the quarterfinals though, which is pretty impressive for them. And England have managed to edge past Poland. Bukayo Saka scoring in the 4th minute, and then classic England probably sat on it for the rest of the game with 15 men behind the ball. I mean, regardless, it did the job and we're through to a semis, but it annoys me nonetheless. We are going to be joined by Portugal. First goal in the game, 60th minute from Ronaldo. Then Pedri pulled one back really quick for Spain. Leao, another quick return, 65th minute to get Portugal back in the lead. 75th minute goal, a second one again for Leao. And then 91st minute consolation, nothing more really for Spain from Morata. So a 3-2 win. Stats were quite even, probably deserved extra time, but do you know what? Portugal had the job done before the 75th minute. And the tree shows 2 South American teams on one side of the semi-final, 2 European teams on the other side of the semi. So it's Argentina-Brazil against England-Portugal. Who is going to make it to the final? Pretty tasty game for some fierce rivals. Gabriel Jesus opening the scoring for Brazil. Martinez pulling one back for Argentina. We're going at 1-1 at half-time. Coutinho scores 62nd minute goal to put Brazil in the lead. Martinez then misses a penalty for Argentina. And you haven't even got Messi on the pitch. Messi didn't even play. Shocking. 88th minute, Brazil then make it 3-1 in their favour. But with an 89th minute goal from Martinez pulling it back to Argentina. Too little too late. 94th minute penalty as well missed for Dani Alves. And a 3-2 win for Brazil. So they're going through to the final. Argentina are going to be in the 3rd, 4th place playoff. And they're going to be in there with Portugal. So they didn't do enough to get past England, who once again scored a goal relatively early and scraped past. 29th minute penalty for Kane was enough to see a 1-0 win for England. Brazil progressing with a 3-2 win against Argentina. England with a 1-0 win against Portugal to set up, do you know what, a familiar game between England and Brazil? But it's never been played in the final. And that leaves the 3rd, 4th place playoff between Portugal and Argentina. So we'll have a little look to see who won that while we're getting ready for the final itself. And Portugal are the first medal winners with a 2-0 win against Argentina. Pretty deserved, to be fair. A brace from Ronaldo, dragging his team through a national tournament once again. Let's have a little butchers at the final. So I'm sat there now. I haven't actually played it, so it hasn't. No one even knows who won. So I'm going to press continue, and who is going to win between Brazil or England? Fabinho scoring early, just before the 9th minute with a header from a corner. England managing to pull one back with Chilwell on the left side. Gets into the area, cuts it across. Foden, nice easy goal, 80th minute to get us back on even terms. Just hold this through to final time, lads, and you can go to extra time. It's fine. Firmino feeds through Pedro. The defence are asleep. Oh, well, he's walked around the goalkeeper. 2-1 to Brazil, 86th minute. And that's how it finished. England, bridesmaids again. Not won. The women won. That's what anyone cares about. That's fine. Ronaldo getting golden boot. Bilo, I believe, will be the one picking up the golden glove because whilst him and Pickford both had 5, Bilo played less games. Jose Gaya winning best player. I assume that's how they do it. They probably won't. It'll probably be a draw and end up going to Lewandowski or Ronaldo because you want a big name winning it, not a left back from Spain. But yeah, pretty decent tournament. Brazil picking up their 6th World Cup, and you know what? Fair place to them. But if you did like that, then do me the favour, as I mentioned earlier, like and subscribing. It would be greatly appreciated. We have got our little playthrough of this, our mini series, where we're going to be going through the World Cup, playing our games the day before England do. Hopefully I can get as far as England, if not further, because it's going to be a bit awkward if I get knocked out before they do. But there will be some items on screen so you can carry on watching. And thank you very much for your time.